She was a lot of fun. May she rest in peace. No, it's just. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're starting a couple minutes late. It was because we were saying hello to everyone in the sanctuary. It's really good to see all of you joining us for Shabbat, whether you're here in person, whether you're joining us via Zoom. It's wonderful to see you. Whether you're joining us on Facebook, however you're joining us, you're a part of our community. We're happy to have you. We're going to begin on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Mishoch Avdach Eretzonach Yarutz Avdach Imo Hayal Yishtachaveh Mul Hadarach Ki Erablo Yedidutach Minofet Suv Vechotza Igalena Ufros Aviv Alai Et Sukkot Shelomach Ta'ir Eretz Mikvodach Nagila V'nismecha bach Maher Ahum Kiva Moen V'honeni Ki Me'olam Nay 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 nay
We continue on page 11, Lechu Niranana.
Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu lechu niranena Adonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu lechu niranena Adonai. Naria, Naria, Litzuri Shenu, Likad Mafana Bitoda. Naria, Naria, Litzuri Shenu, Bismiro Naria Lo, Lechu Niranena, Lechu Niranena, Lechu Lechu Niranena Adonai. Lechu Niranena, Lechu Niranena, Lechu Lechu Niranena Adonai.
We continue on page 14, Yismechu Hashamayim.
Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Umelo, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Umelo.
We continue page 18, Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor Bekol Zimra, Bechatzotrot Bekol Shofar. Hariu Lifnei Amelech Adonai. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor Bekol Zimra, Bechatzotrot Bekol Shofar. Hariu Lifnei Amelech Adonai. Yiram Hayam Umlo, Tevel Veyoshveiva. Neharot Imcha Uchav Yachar Harim Yiraneinu. Lifnei Adonai Kiva Nishpot Haaretz, Yishpot Tevel Betzedek, Ve'amim B'mei Sharim. Yiram Hayam Umlo, Tevel Veyoshveiva. Neharot Imcha Uchav Yachar Harim Yiraneinu.
Page 20, Romemu.
Nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishachavu Ve'har Kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishachavu Ve'har Kosho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Ve'har Kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Ve'har Kosho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
I ask that if you're able to do so, please rise. We'll continue on page 21 with Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid, Havu L'Adonai B'nei Elim, Havu L'Adonai Kavon Va'oz. Havu L'Adonai Kevot Shemo Yishtachavu L'Adonai Yadrat Kodesh Kol Adonai Hamayim El HaKavon Yirim Adonai Almayim Rabim Kol Adonai Bakoach Kol Adonai Behadar Kol Adonai Shomer הארזים וישבר אדוני את ארזי הבנון וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וציון כמו בן רמים כמו בן רמים איי 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 כל אדוני כותב לבוטש כל אדוני יחיל מדבר יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש כל אדוני יכול העלות ויחשוף יערות ובחלו כולו בכבוד איי 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 אדוני למה ישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני הוס לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום די 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 די
Please be seated. Page 22, Ana Bekoach. Adonai, if you would, may your mighty right hand undo the knot that ties us up. Accept the prayers of your people. You who are revered, raise us up and cleanse us.
Ana בכוח, בכוח, גדולת ימינך, ימינך, תתת צרורה, כברינת עמך, סגבנו, תרנו נורא. Ana בכוח, בכוח, גדולת ימינך, ימינך, תתת צרורה, כברינת עמך, סגבנו, תרנו נורא. Ana בכוח, גדולת ימינך, תתת צרורה, תתת צרורה, כברינת עמך, רינת עמך, סגבנו, תרנו נורא. נא גיבור דורשי ייחודך, כבבת שומרם, ברכם טהרם, רחמם צדקתך, תמיד גומלם. אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך, תתת צרורה, תתת צרורה, כברינת עמך, רינת עמך, סגבנו, תרנו נורא. ני 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 ני
Tradition teaches that we're supposed to greet Shabbat as we would greet a beautiful bride on her wedding day. Lecha Dodi, page 23.
Nai 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 Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Lechadoti ligrakala pene shabane kavela. Lechadoti ligrakala pene shabane kavela. Shamor v'zachor b'di borchad ishmi'anu el hamichad Adonai echad u'shem echad shem u'tiferet Behelitchila lechadodi eligrakala pene shabane kavela ligrat Shabbat lechubenelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava tchila lechadodi eligrakala pene shabane kavela Mitash melech ir melucha kumetziya mitocha v'karav lach shevet v'yemeka b'cha v'chui yachamol alaychem la v'chadodi ligrakala p'nei Shabbat nekavela hinari me'afar kumi livshi bigdei tifartecha mi aliyad ben Yishai וחלק מהקרבה אל נפשי גאלה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי אורי שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תחמי פחי יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה עיר עתילה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה והיו לשמסה שעושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסחוס חתן הכלה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי בית אדוני תריצי על יד איש בין הפרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה בואי בשלום התפלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוניה עם סגולה בואי חלה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי ligrakala פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We continue together on page 27, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor shir, mizmor shir, mizmor shir Yom HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, mizmor שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, לחגים בבוקר הסדך, לחגים בבוקר הסדך, באמונתך בלילות, באמונתך בלילות. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, להגיד בבוקר הסדך, להגיד בבוקר הסדך, באמונתך בלילות, באמונתך בלילות. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני.
We declare God as sovereign of the universe, page 29, Adonai Malach.
Adonai Malach Yehu Lavish, Lavish Adonai Ozit Azar, Aftikon Tevel Batimon, Aftikon Tevel Batimon, Nachon Kisacham Meaz, Me'olam Ata, Nasehu Neharot Adonai, Nasehu Neharot Kolam Yiseu, Neharot Ogyam, Mikolot Ma'im Rabim, Adirim Ishbeream, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Erotecha Nemnu Meod, Leveitcha Navakodesh, Adonai Leorech Yamim, Adonai Leorech Yamim, Mikolot Ma'im Rabim, Adirim Ishbeream, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Adir Bamarom Adonai.
We heed the call to worship as we rise and turn to page 39b for the Baruch Hu. Please rise.
Nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai nai yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai nai yana nai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach vaed na 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 nai nai na 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 nai 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 na 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 nai nai ya na nai 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 ya na nai nai ya na nai 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 na 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 nai 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 na 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 nai nai ya na nai 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 ya na nai nai na nai umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai Tzevaot Shemo Adonai Tzevaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch Ata Adonai Amariv Aravi
Page 40, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot u'kim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Hakein Adonai Eloheinu B'shokbeinu u'vkumenu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismag b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orek yameinu Ve'orek yameinu Uvachem neke yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatecha Ata sirmenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol vavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha Ve'hayu harvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom alevavecha Veshinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shivtecha v'beitecha U'velektecha v'aderech U'v'shokpecha u'vkumecha U'kshaktam lehot al yedecha Ve'hayu latotafot bein einecha U'ktavtam amzuzo beitecha U'visharecha bein shemot v'tayish
Vayomer Adonai al Moshe lemor, daber al bnei Yisrael.
Vayomer Adonai Elohechem emet.
We continue on page 44, Michamocha.
Nai 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 ai dai 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 nai 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 dai nai 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 Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot o seifele Nora tehilot o seifele Malchutecha ra'u vanecha Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe ve'amru, Zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Nai 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 ya da 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 ya ya da 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 ya nai nai da 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 ya da 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 da.
Page 45, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Behamidenu Malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Behamidenu Malkeinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim.
Adonai, shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our God. Please watch over us and deliver us. And you, God, are our sovereign. You're merciful and compassionate. Please ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people, Israel, over Las Vegas, and over Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim.
I'll ask you to rise. We turn to page 46 as we sanctify Shabbat together, Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Hatzik Kaddish is on page 46.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן ישמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה וכולי מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו Amen.
The silent Amidah for Friday night begins on page 47. Please use the words of the Siddur or private meditations of your heart. For those of you still praying your Amidah, please continue to do so. The rest of us may be seated. We'll continue on page 51 with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et samcha Yisrael b'chol heit ub'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Ose Shalom is on page 52.
Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imiru amen.
Kaddish Shalem is on page 54.
יתגדל ויגדשם מרבה,
אמן.
ועמד דברה קירותי ועמליק מלכותי בחייכוני ומכוני וחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ומרו, אמן. יהי רבה מברך, לעלם עלל מעל מיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קדושה. בריחו לעין לה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן מעל מה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלת תהון ואותהון לכל ישראל Kodama v'honda v'shamaya v'miru. Amen. Yehi shalom aravim shamaya. V'chahim alena ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom v'imromav. Uyasei shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. You might have noticed that my singing sounds a lot better tonight, and that probably has to do with the fact that DJ is back. And for those of you that suffered Rabbi Goodman and I singing for the past several days while DJ was out, Mazel Tov. I apologize and thank you for bearing with us, but it's really wonderful to have DJ back. It just feels like the group is back together, the boys are back in town. It's wonderful. I bought myself a present for Hanukkah, and I was really clever about it when I bought it. I told my wife that I wanted it, but I said that the kids could buy it for me, and she couldn't say no to that. So I went out and bought myself a video game system. And you might be asking yourself, Rabbi, what game system did you buy? Did you buy the new Xbox? Did a miracle happen? Did you get the new PlayStation 5? No, I didn't get any of those. I got myself a Super Nintendo. For those of you keeping score at home, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System came out in 1991. So now that's 30 years ago. Ouch, that hurts to say. But it's the video game system I grew up playing, so with the help of eBay and a few adapter cords so I could get the thing to work on my newer TV, I was plugged in and ready to play, and I began the epic quest of Super Mario World. Most of you are probably somewhat familiar with our friend Mario, even if you've never played a video game before in your life. Mario is an Italian plumber. He has red overalls and a big brown mustache, and he was developed in Japan in the 1980s. Mario first shows up in the game Donkey Kong, and when he eventually gets his own game, it's amazing. By the time 1991 comes around, Super Mario World is the #1 video game on the planet. And I remember playing it when I was my son's age, around 5 years old. So I thought, what a great father-son activity. We can bond over Super Mario World. We've been playing it together, level by level. And I have to admit, I was probably better at the game than I was when I was 5 than nowadays. But we're getting through it. Just what does one do in Super Mario World? Well, it's the usual. Mario hops on turtle shells. You avoid getting hurt. You go through magic pipes. Only the Japanese could come up with something like this. But most importantly, you have to save the princess at the end of the game who is being held hostage by the evil king Bowser, who lives in an evil castle. But before you can get to that king, you have to face a myriad of other kings, each one getting harder and more difficult as the game progresses. There's always another king. Just when my little boy and I think we fought the last king, there's another one that shows up, and you have to go into his castle and fight all of his little minions and learn his tricks and then defeat him just to do it all over again in the next level. There's always another king. Isn't that the way it works in real life too? There's always another king or prince or sultan or prime minister, president, leader. Wherever you are, there's always a new guy or gal on the throne. This is actually how the book of Exodus starts off. This week, this Parsha, we start the book of Shemot. We've just read for the past month this whole harrowing account of Joseph and his brothers. They sell him into slavery. He avoids catastrophe and he becomes second in command of all of Egypt. He saves the kingdom, its servants, the people, his family. There was this huge reconciliation at the end. People are crying, big fanfare, roll credits, the end. And then after all of that, how does the book of Shemot begin? It says, a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Really? After all of that? I've always wondered about the new Pharaoh, the new guy who says he doesn't know who Joseph is. Or maybe he kind of knew, maybe he just didn't care, but how do you not know? There's always a new king. Just look through the pages of history. There's always a new guy who wants to make his own mark. He shows up, makes a bunch of sweeping reforms, makes a bunch of changes, says a bunch of things, yada, yada, yada. Maybe he builds himself a nice pyramid, a statue is popular, gives himself his own holiday. And then what happens to that guy? This happens to every guy. He dies. And then a couple weeks later, some new guy shows up and does the same thing. Our liturgy emphasizes this same idea. The psalmist writes in Psalms 146, it says, do not put your trust in princes or in mortal men who cannot save. When their spirit departs, they return to the ground, and on that very day, it says, their plans come to nothing. But the maker of heaven and earth, the sea, and everything in them, it is Adonai who remains faithful forever. Whatever king we have will eventually die, and then some new Joe Schmo will show up. Now what's interesting is that our rabbis come along and they take this whole idea and they throw it for a new loop. In the Talmud, if you look in Brachot 58a, it mentions that Jews are to recite a blessing when they see or encounter royalty, whether this person is Jewish or not. There are actually two blessings that the Gemara gives, one for a Jewish king and one for a non-Jewish king. Now, since we don't have a technical Jewish king anymore, the blessing would be Baruch Shenatan Mikvodo Lebriotav. So basically it says, blessed are you, God, who gives honor to creation. Now, in various Sidurim, you can actually find this blessing at the back of the book, if you look hard enough. When I was studying at the conservative yeshiva in Jerusalem, my chavruta, my study partner, was a guy from England. And he told me that when he was living in London, he entered a drawing where you could go and visit Buckingham Palace. And he won the drawing, and he got to go. And while he was there, they were doing a tour. The Queen rolled up, and of course the guards stopped everybody, but he was able to see the Queen from a distance. And in England, I guess if you live in England, this is a really big deal to see the Queen. So with tears in his eyes, he recounts this story, how he saw the Queen, and he said, Jonathan, I said the blessing for seeing royalty. Now, for those of us living in places like America, where there is not royalty, where our officials are elected, what do? Well, I should mention that our Sidur Sim Shalom, the one that we use every day in the morning time, has a blessing for seeing, quote, heads of state. It says, Baruch Shenatan Mehokmato Levasar Ve'adam. So basically, praised are you who grants glory, literally to all flesh and blood, but our Siddur translates it as granting glory to humanity. Okay. Now in the Orach Chaim, a medieval Jewish legal work, it says that you can extend a blessing for seeing a king to any government official that has the authority to pardon a criminal from death row. They say that amount of power basically makes you a king. So in America, that would translate to only the president. Not even the governor in most states can pardon someone from death row. They have to have a presidential pardon. Now, before everybody gets upset, I want to make a quick caveat here. I never talk about politics from the Bema. I'm not going to begin this evening. Don't worry. Yet the timing of this sermon just happens to be in a time where there is a lot of political commotion happening. But the nature of this message, I'm not trying to pick sides, I'm really not. It's actually the opposite. On Saturday mornings, right after we read the Haftorah, we all stand and very powerfully say a prayer for our country and then afterwards the state of Israel. But when we say the prayer for our country, we all recite together in unison. We pray for our country's, quote, leaders, judges, officers, and officials. Notice this is all in plural. We're not the only synagogue that does this. Most synagogues that I've been in read the same exact thing on Saturday mornings. And I think that this is absolutely the correct thing to do. You see, in every person's lifetime, they will probably encounter several kings or presidents or prime ministers or sultans or whatever. And some of those leaders will be great leaders, and some of them will not be so great. But I think just as our tradition recognizes that our leaders are merely mortal and one day will die, it also recognizes that because our leaders are mortal, they are therefore in need of our prayers. Likewise, our tradition recognizes if somebody has the authority or the power to condemn someone or spare someone to life or death, then they should, all the more so, be prayed for. Last week, right before I said the prayer for our country, I said something like, the beginning of the year is a good time to pray for our country. And a couple people chuckled, but I really didn't mean it as a joke. I was serious. Because there will always be a new king. The same was true now, just as it was for Joseph. But each and every one of those leaders, whether we vote for them or not, is accountable to God and therefore worthy of prayer. When my son and I play Super Mario World, sometimes the king at the end of the level just pummels us, and sometimes we triumph over them. But as long as we keep playing the game, the point is we eventually will win. So I'll continue to pray for our country's leaders, its judges, officers, and officials. But like Fiddler on the Roof, I'll continue to pray to keep them far away from us. Shabbat Shalom. Our tradition teaches that on Friday night, angels from all over the world visit people who are celebrating Shabbat. We're going to continue our service on page 73. I'm going to ask us to rise as we sing Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Marchuni LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Atzeitchem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Kiddush is on page 76. We remain standing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei puri hakafena. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר יציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת אמן.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
We remain standing for Aleinu, which is on page 56.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כיהי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שנותן שמיים ויעוזר. כגדו בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated. On page 173 in the left-hand corner, we have an opportunity to say a prayer for those people in need of healing. Now, typically this is reserved for the people in our community, but we're going to extend it to everyone all over the world. Misha Berach, page 173.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Simple Best Shalom is acknowledging the yortzites of Herman Burns, Donald Bogart, Cora DeCoveney, Fanny Gertz, Francis Goldman, Bertha Katz, Glynis Louie, Sue Lichter, Susan Lieberman, Miriam Matlow, Stuart Mazer, Albert Mendelson, Ida Mendelson, Ruth Miller, Josephine Pomerantz, Harry Louis Raphael, Abraham Reitman, Molly Rosengarten, Harriet Ross, Carol Rosen Spritz, Meyer Silverman, and we're also acknowledging the Shloshim of Linda Weissman and Bonnie Rogers. Mourners and those observing a yortzeit have an opportunity to say the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divara kirute ve'amlik malkute, Bechayechon uvyomechon uchaye de kol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei de kudesha barichu le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Please be seated. We now have an opportunity to hear some announcements from our temple president, Jared Finkelstein.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone here in the sanctuary, as well as our online community. It's wonderful to see everyone. It's been a challenging week, and I hope everyone has been able to find some calm and comfort as we've welcomed Shabbat together. And you can join us again tomorrow morning for services at 9 a.m., both here or online. Few things coming up. Save the date for Sunday, March 7th, to enjoy the TBS Sunday Fun Day Comedy Night. It's featuring the headliner Jessica Curson and special guest John Fish. You can find ticket information on the website. We're having this virtual fundraiser in lieu of the gala, so please participate, get tickets, get your friends to buy tickets, be generous in making bids on our auction items or donating auction items. People on our board have seen the comedians virtually, and they're very funny. So we can all use a good laugh. So again, I urge you to participate on March 7th. Also, on February 21st, there will be a drive-through Purim Carnival. Okay, so DJ will talk more about it, but I'm sure as creative as our clergy have been, this will be an unbelievable experience. So please save that date as well. This week, in terms of adult education, we have Radical Torah at noon on Monday, and it's for members only and online only. This coming Sunday at 1 is a Kadima virtual talent show. Can people still sign up with talent? No? Okay, but you want to talk more about that? Okay, so DJ will talk more about that. Also, on January 19th will be our next Essential Talmud class with Rabbi Goodman, also online only. And January 21st at 4 is the History of Zionism with Rabbi Goodman, also online only. Again, if you know of a temple member who's in the hospital, ill at home, or in a nursing home, please contact the temple office to let us know. Shabbat Shalom.
Just a couple of things. First of all, and foremost, I want, on behalf of my family, I want to thank everybody who's reached out to us over the last couple of weeks. It's been a very trying time with us, and hearing from all of you, my wife, my son, my brothers, everyone in my family is very grateful for all of you. So thank you again for everyone for reaching out. On positive notes, so unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, our talent show on Sunday has been canceled. However, I'm very, very excited to announce our Carnival is going to take place on February 21st. It's USY and Kadima's largest fundraiser of the year. And this year is going to be very unique experience where people will drive into our property. They'll get their toys and whatnot they need for each game. They're going to go around to the different booths. They're going to play each game from the safety of their car. They're going to get prizes. They're going to see different performers throughout the drive as well. It's all going to take place here on our property, and I welcome everybody in the Las Vegas Valley to come support our USY and Kadima youth groups. Most of you will be receiving a phone call from me over the next couple of weeks, so get excited about that. And thank you in advance for helping us raise money for our youth department here at the temple.
Just as long as Rabbi Goodman and I don't dress up as the girls from Frozen.
Yeah, I think that's...
I mean, we did that on March 10th, and then the country went on lockdown like 5 days later.
Yeah,
It went
yeah.
downhill very quickly.
I think that could have caused...
I don't know how those things had anything to do with each other. But we're going to continue. Adon Olam is on page 211.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra ve'ein naso v'hefso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharein hilot hakol levado hilok nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh b'tifara ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni le'chamshil lo le'achbira b'li reshit b'li tachnit v'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzor chevli be'etzara ve'hu nisi u'manos li v'nakosi be'yom ekra be'ado v'kid ruchi v'yeti shan ve'ahira ve'im ruchi kavihati Adonai li ve'lo ira.
We end our service by blessing each other. Yevarechecha.
Yevorechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom Yevorechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha
Adonai oz le'emo yitain Adonai yevarech etzamo v'shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.